Greetings. This is Habit of Inquiry number 3, Act Purposely While Gathering Data. It's part of the DO in the Plan, Do, Study, Act process. And it's very important to have a coherent plan, clear achievement targets, and have quality common assessments designed and aligned with SMART goals, and have a communication plan that filters from the data analysis stage down to the students who are receiving their data and being part of that process. So it's really important to ask ourselves about those common formative assessments and how they assist everybody in achieving more. And this document we have right here outlines some of the important pieces that help students achieve more when using common formative assessments. Teachers as well, how they can use these formative assessments to help their students achieve more, and the schools as a whole, helping them develop the process so that it's a more comprehensive and coherent process for this to take place.
One piece of data that we have, or not, okay. One thing that we have here is our a way for students to look at their data and analyze and make decisions on how they want to move forward. So this is an example of a 7th grade team literature interim score review. So students would have to write down their score, write down the grade that they would get for their interim, look at what their goal was for that, and answer lots of questions about how it is that they would like to move forward in growth and how they got to that point of doing well so that they can feel confident and have some wins in their time with their data.
Again, the kindergarten team for Habit of Inquiry 3 is really in the initiating stage right now. Mostly we use district-created assessments, rubrics, and other things. Not a lot has happened at a PLC level, so this year we have just started to work on creating our own assessments to gather data based on what we think the students should be able to know and do. So we created a way to gather data based on how the students are working toward the goal that we have set of being able to recognize numbers out of order. And then we can put all of that information into a Google form, which gathers the data for us. While we had thought that it was pretty clear on what we wanted the students to be able to do, we found out that there were many other things that we had forgotten to discuss, like protocols for how we were going to gather the data. So as we were having a conversation about the data, we found out that we needed to go back and talk about how we were going to make this the same across the grade level so that each teacher was giving the assessment the same way.
Now, as a school, we need to be very strategic in the planning of how we have our teachers meet and when they meet, how often they meet, and then the content in which is covered during those meetings. So as you look here, each of our teachers are assigned to a PLC, and it's either with job alike or perhaps as specialists. And the goal is for them to have common assessments, formative and summative, and then for them to be able to analyze the data and talk about strategies to help student achievement. And then we take it a kind of a step back as we look at the grade level block meetings, the second column here, which is where we kind of talk about the plan and the strategy for what's covered during our advisory or our homeroom time. And then we also during that time talk about, we call it courageous conversations about race, and we do that at least once a month, if not more frequently. And then we have another type of meeting once a week that's called What Works. And at that time is when we're talking about implementing our new WIN time, W-I-N, what I need. And that's just a time to talk about big picture school initiatives and what can be covered during that, especially this Infinite Campus and Schoology or other systems that we're trying to incorporate. And then the Flex Scheduler is the WIN time, so we'll talk about that. And it also, the next one is the interdisciplinary learning. We really want to have a collaborative culture amongst the building and have different departments or grade levels working with each other, and which is great. And the next one is the school-wide reading strategies and AVID strategies. So that's just kind of what we feel is a really strong area for students to kind of build their organizational skills and apply to their other learning. And the last bullet is cultural and responsive teaching. And as we shift to the right, the student focus, this is where we have monitor team focal students. What that does is that we're having all of the teachers in the building identify students that could be considered as gap students, and those have been targeted as our focal students, and we need to make sure we put extra effort into those types of students and then figure out an action plan on how they can be improved with their learning, their strategies, and just get them out of that warning zone. And also, we could talk the IEP meetings and the 504 meetings and any updates are needed for that. And lastly, we want to see this as a partnership with the community. So we want to make sure we are very vocal with our community, our parents and our guardians to make sure if there's any issues, we're supplying interventions and just making sure that there aren't any surprises when it could be too late.